Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Well, hi there, everyone. It's the week of February 16th to 22nd. We're the AstroTwins, Tali here in Seattle, sunny Seattle.
And Ophi in wintry New York.
You guys have got that gray and slushy snow. Well, this week, lots of tides turning. Actually, this is one of the busiest weeks of astrology of the entire year. One of the most, It's the week. It is the week. The week in the first half of the year, for sure. We have the year of the fire horse starts on Tuesday, February 17th. Then Pisces season takes over on Wednesday, February 18th. Friday, Saturn and Neptune conjunction. We've been talking about that one. That is the Great Reset. And then Venus and Jupiter are getting kind of frisky over the weekend. So can we just take a minute to shed some skins as the wood snake winds down? That was snake years. Love our snake people. Our sister Leora's a snake. Some of our favorite 1977ers are snakes. But my God, it just slithers in and out, and
I always hope for the best, but by the time it's over, it's like, well, that was a year. I mean, look, a lot of people had personally satisfying years out of adversity, out of the adversity of the snake. They found community or found their way back to well-being, self-care, friendships that really counted.
I can say that's true.
Support. Yeah. I mean, I think even though it feels weird to say that, because we're certainly not spiritually, emotionally, or otherwise politically bypassing what's going on this planet, which is worse than ever and the lowest vibration of the snake, if you ask me. We've had to come together in the name of humanity, show up for ourselves and each other. And so, I don't want adversity to be a prerequisite of that, but it has happened for a lot of people.
There's a correspondence between each of the Chinese zodiac signs as well as with the Western ones. And we had Dragon in 2024, which is like Aries, the first sign. And then Snake comes in and corresponds to Taurus. And then Horse is like Gemini. So it goes in the same order. The Taurian energy of a snake year can be quite conservative. It can really bring in, Taurus is the sign of ethics and values. And we have a lot of, religious right-wing activity and abuse showing up this year. Abuse of power.
Turning point really showed up. And there were a lot of Tauruses also who rose to prominence in nefarious ways too. Yeah. Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, Candace Owens, to name a few.
Yeah, there was that, it's like snake can be deceptive. Snake, when you think about the snake dance charming you, it's like people have really kind of fallen into a hypnotized spell for kind of that, people who seem to be touting these really like strong traditional values, but have a grift going on behind the scenes, Turning Point USA, absolutely. But, as the snake wound down, their show with, the amoral Kid Rock was a big flop. And, their halftime, their all-American halftime show they tried to pull last week. And and people are just really, I think, seeing through it, getting fed up. I can't believe it's taken some people this long, but the proof is in the pudding. The results are in after one snake year. The economy here in the United States and in the world has been rocked by stupidity, tariffs, unnecessary. I mean, of course, Wall Street is strong, but you're seeing you're just seeing the grift, I think. And so here we are about to start the year of the fire horse, and we're ending two wood years too. Years ending in 4 and 5 are the wood element in Chinese astrology, and years ending in 6 and 7 are the fire element. So that's a big shift. Do you want to talk about that a
Mhm.
little bit, Ophi?
Yeah, and I also just want to stop and note that Saturn is newly in
Oh,
Aries as of
right.
Friday
Hello.
the 13th. So not only do we have all these new things happening this week,
They
but
already
we
started
are,
last week.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're entering Saturn. I mean, Saturn was briefly in Aries from May 24th till September 1st of 2025. So we got a little sneak preview of it last summer. Before it went back into Pisces for a final round. I know a lot of Pisces are probably really relieved to have Saturn out of their
Mhm.
sign now. They've passed the torch to Aries, like Bad Bunny, the Pisces, passing the mic over to Lady Gaga, the Aries, at the Super Bowl, which feels like a year ago. It was only
It
a
really
week
does,
ago.
doesn't it? I know.
And then the Grammys were only 2 weeks ago. Just there was so much like noise and smoke and craziness around Bad Bunny's performance and such an upset by the
And
right, but
and
such
yet such
greatness, such
celebration.
celebration with, yeah, among others. And now it's just like, I'm not really hearing that much about it. I guess he's got a new album coming. I think he took his
And
Instagram
perhaps is back
down.
together with his Capricorn jewelry designer, influencer girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Hmm. I'm
Um,
not sure how I feel about that. It's, at least it's not a Kardashian, but
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's Puerto Rican and yeah, pretty
okay.
beautiful.
Well,
Like, but yeah.
good
She's
for them then. Happy Valentine's Day, Bad Bunny. If
that
anyone
Pisces Capricorn. Yeah. So Saturn and Aries against the backdrop of wood versus fire. Let's talk about that for a minute. So the wood element, let's tell people
yeah, so
about
the
that
wood
a bit.
element of the years that end in 4 and 5. There are 5 elements in the lunar astrology system instead of four, like we have here in Western. And each one governs a 2 year period. We have metal governing years that end in 0 and 1. So if you were born in one of those years, you can have some of the sort of sharp metallic qualities. It can be very cutting through the BS, but also have an edge. Years that end in 2 and 3 are water ruled. That's us. So if you're born in one of those, you can be dreamy, creative, flowy, nocturnal. After that, we have wood years, 4 and 5 years. So that, if you think about wood, if you think about a forest, it spreads, it grows tall like a tree. So it can be very overbearing and overtaking, but also very prosperous and abundant too. Now we're into fire years. Fire is the energizer. It's like very dynamic, fast paced, hot,
Can
a lot
also
of
clear a forest
emotional.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
can
well,
clear the
exactly.
overgrowth and yeah.
Absolutely. Each element feeds the next one. And then, so after 6 and 7 years, we have Earth years. And then the cycle starts over years that end in 8 and 9 are
And
Earth, which
Earth
is
is a
more grounding. It's sort of like the more of a stabilizing force.
So
So,
let's just face
yeah,
it. Don't be expecting stability from the year of the fire horse at all.
it's not about
Horse,
that. It's about charging out of the gate. And by the way, we just did our vision board webinar today for the year of the fire horse, and we will have a replay up for a couple more days. So we'll drop a link in case you missed it and want to watch it and make yourself a guided intention setting. We call it a vision board, fire horse bingo. There's no glue or scissors or magazines, just thinking and writing and intention setting. So definitely check that out. this week. We'll keep it up through the Lunar New Year and a couple days after to support you with the transition.
And some people
into
do
that.
turn, so it's you'll get a worksheet and we guide you through um I think we had how many prompts? We have 8 prompts, and then you have
Mhm.
and then you can turn it into a visual vision board after if you want to, but it'll really help you shape what you're looking for the year ahead. And we
Well, the
did it
bingo
too.
board, which is 9 squares, is the same as the low shoe magic squares or the Bagua map that has to do with feng shui and lunar
Mhm.
astrology and the elements and everything else. So we call it bingo, but it's all kind of like a mashup fusion of modern and ancient and more. Best of all, like it was, we had such just our webinars just turned into these amazing community bonding. People were supporting each other, and we saw the best of the fire horse already coming out. Like people were sharing resources with each other and encouraging each other. And this podcast came out of one of our vision boards because Tali declared it on her 2023 when we played bunny bingo for the year of the water rabbit. And at the very last day of the year, we realized we hadn't started that. We'd done everything else on our vision boards except for that. So we started this podcast, and now here we find ourselves today. It started out much more casually as an experiment, and now, it's one of our favorite things to
It
do every
really
week and
is.
keep meeting people who are like, I love your podcast.
And
So
I
here,
actually think Become Your Own Astrologer, our course, came out of that as well this year.
yeah, it
So
did.
we should
It
talk about
did.
that for a minute. We'll talk more about
Yeah.
it at the end. But if you are thinking about, if you're someone who wants to learn how to read birth charts, do predictive astrology, learn how to speak astrology, you're not going to want to miss this. We only teach our Become Your Own Astrologer course, our masterclass once a year, and it's starting on Saturday, February 21st. That's literally next weekend, this coming weekend. And it's an amazing group. We have people coming back again. This is our 3rd year teaching it. It's a course we used to teach as a retreat in Tulum, Mexico, years ago. That could only have. We used to bring 20 women and do this retreat in Tulum before it became as crazy and wildly developed as it is now. And that was an incredible experience to have. But more people are into astrology now, and we want to reach more people. And so we turned it into a live course. We teach it via Zoom. And the first 8 weeks, we meet weekly for the foundations course. And then we have that's on Saturdays from noon to about 2:30 Eastern time. And it's all recorded. So if you can't make it, it's a bad time zone for you, you can go back and watch. We have coaches now too who have come back, who are certified from past years, who can help you learn if you happen to miss or get stuck on anything. It's really awesome. And then if you want to go on to level 2, we take a little break, and then on May 2nd, we start again and do the next 8 weeks, which is our oracles level. But either way, we keep meeting with you monthly after that, so that you can practice and continue to grow and ask questions. And if you are someone who's going along the certification track, we're there to support you at that. So that is astrostyle.com/BYOA. We'll put that in the show notes. Become Your Own Astrologer. It's really been so cool. Like, we have people who are now charging for readings, integrating astrology offerings into their healing practices, therapists who have taken it and are working with the charts of their clients.
And
And
people who aren't astrologers in terms of practitioners, but they love it and they've always wanted to really understand how it works so they could simply use it for their own, for their teams, for their planning, for just to really understand. It's just a lifelong passion. So in case you're wondering, like, well, can I just learn this on YouTube or do a pre-recorded course? You can, but the difference here is just like learning a language, because we believe astrology is a language. You have to practice it, you have to speak it. So
mm,
this is more like a class in conversational astrology. knowledge just sometimes stays between your ears, but then when it's time for it to come out of your mouth, it doesn't. That's what I always say. So we have designed this course so that when you sit down or meet someone at a cafe or sit down with a loved one and you really want to contribute the wonder and power of astrology that you've experienced to them, maybe they're going through something and you just want to go, you know what, let me look at your chart. That's how it started for us. You'll actually be able to do that and learn how to tell them about it in a way that they can understand. It's not all jargony or anything like that. You will become comfortable and fluent in astrology because at this point, we need all the healing tools on this planet that we can get. So if you have a person in your life who's going through something and you just want to, sit down with them, give them some advice, let me look at your chart. Let me see if we can crack the code, solve that problem. Look at a good time for you to move or apply for a job, or, oh, what's going on with that person that you just broke up with or whatever. We all find ourselves in those moments. That's how we got into astrology ourselves. Like, we learned how to read charts, and then just friends would just come over with their usual everyday problems and issues and curiosities. And suddenly we had this tool at our fingertips to really help and guide them, which is how we ended up getting a reputation as these sort of accidental oracles, which I'm not saying we aren't, but the truth of the matter is it's the knowledge of how to read charts and guide people with them that really got us that reputation. And we are excited to teach it to our 2026 class. So get yourself in there if you want to join us. We only do this once a year live, and it's a beautiful, supportive community. Got us through the last 2 years. I know it'll get us through this one. Keep us positive and hopeful. So astrostyle.com/BYOA, and we'll talk a little more about it again at the end. Now let's gallop into that fire horse year starting Tuesday.
Yeah, so if you were born in 1966, at least after the date of the Aquarius new moon, then, which we should
February
look up
9th of 1967 was when it ended.
when it ended. Yeah.
And
so we'll have to look up, but you have to be an Aquarius. The lunar new year always starts with the Aquarius new moon. So, but you are having your golden birthday. You're 60 years old. It's believed to be your first birthday. It's the first time that the elements have come around. The animal comes back every 12 years. We have a horse year, but we only have a fire horse year every 60 years. So the last one was 1966, and the one before that was 1906. So it's really interesting to look back at the history of what was happening. Those were both years where there was huge clashes, with civil rights, especially centered around race. And 1906 was a big San Francisco fire that burned.
the earthquake and fire, and we're certainly not hoping for anything like that again, but was very aligned with the fire horse year. Yeah. And then 1966 were the fire that happened. One of the things was that was the year that John Lennon said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. And it set off such a backlash that people all over the South would get together and create bonfires to burn their Beatles albums.
Wow.
But on a civil rights, history, the Black Panthers were founded. Kwanzaa was celebrated for the first time. And
Indira Gandhi became the first female prime minister of India, right?
Yeah. And the man who architected apartheid in South Africa was assassinated. So there's fire horse years are times when people really are not going to take it anymore.
Wasn't there a big, 1906, there was some big shift for the
Atlanta race massacre. It was white
yeah.
mobs who massacred a lot of Black citizens. And
It's awful.
yeah, so, there can be a lot of divisiveness and violence that gets stirred up during horse years, a lot of fire horse years, a lot of sort of headstrong, anger, and, you know, counter it's counter rebel so they're rebellious revolutionary years. And
Mhm.
look, I
Mhm.
mean, here we are at the cusp of the fire horse years starting. We've got, yes, supposedly ice is quote unquote winding down in Minnesota, but according to our people there, nobody really believes it. They think they might just be going more, plain clothes, or, we can't trust anything. We just had the hearings with Pam Bondi last week that were outrageous. It was Darvo, deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender. If you've ever heard of that, it's classic pathological narcissist trick. She pulled that one out
With her
back
burn
to the
book that she
with
had.
her burn book. That's very fire horse. With her back to the Epstein survivors, unwilling to even look at them or face them.
Yeah, that was just one of, I mean, if, this picture will go down in history. I think it was our Washington State Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal who asked her to apologize to the survivors, and she just like was like no 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 no, just like reading her burn book with this like smug smile on her face. And
so
yeah, it's interesting because Pisces season starts one day after the fire horse. So the horse like bursts out of the gates, and then this
mhm.
like flood of water energy. So we're kind of the transition you mentioned earlier between Pisces and Aries is a big energy of this year, the beginning of this year. So on Friday, we have Saturn and Neptune meeting at 0 degrees Aries. But like in the beginning, like January, December, November, Saturn and Neptune were both together in Pisces. So, like, these two planets don't get together very often in the sky, every 35 to 40 years. Um, they're very much opposites in their energies. Saturn is the boundary enforcer, Neptune's the boundary dissolver. Saturn's that 3D touch, tactile, give me the dimensions, I want to measure it. Energy, and Neptune is this numinous, spiritual, cloudy, dreamy vibe. So when they get together, they can actually make happy bedfellows. They can, Saturn can put a structure into Neptune's dreams. But in Pisces together, it was just, again, that same like doubling down on the snake energy or the worst of it, like the illusions, the delusions, the manipulation.
It's been a
But
lot of Kool-Aid
but it
served.
also did bring, Pisces is the last, like all this sludge that was at the bottom of the ocean, like the Epstein files coming out. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, we've only seen a fraction, which is so scary, but the exposure of this at the end of Saturn and Neptune and Pisces completely tracks. It's like Saturn audited what was hidden in Pisces behind the veil of illusion. Now in Aries,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I look forward to the day when I never have to hear the word redacted again.
yeah, I mean, Pisces
It's
sun could bring a wave of compassion, but could also bring more manipulation, redaction, cover-ups. And next week, Mercury is going retrograde in Pisces, February 26th to March 20th. So we might really have to wait until the equinox on March 20th to feel the momentum of this. But I do want
or it
to.
might reveal more. It might
It
expose more.
could, but like, what? Everyone's kind of like, what are we supposed to do? But people are really like, more like, especially, I think Minnesota brought the catalyst that the country needed to be like, okay, this is what it looks like. Citizens united in action. I mean, two people, like, this is what this can be done. I think it gave people a big boost of courage. I think Mamdani winning as well did for a lot of people. Like, we don't have to just be manipulated by the system. But Saturn and Neptune together in Aries on February 20th, 0 degrees Aries. That hasn't happened in over 2,000 years that they've met at the Aries point, the very start of the zodiac. Ophi, I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, kind of back to the whole anger unleashed fire horse energy, like Aries is the sign of war, anger,
Rage.
it can be, yeah, it's the warrior, it's ruled by Mars. So, one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is the Saves Act, which is, the administration's attempt at voter suppression before the midterms. We're going to try to require a birth certificate or a passport in order to register to vote. You know, it's just such a joke. Like, all I remember hearing about is like, I mean, how desperately did we try to get people to vote, try to get people to the polls? Like, when we were growing up, was MTV's Rock the
Just
Vote
thinking
was a
about
whole
that.
big thing. RIP MTV, by the way.
Right.
Didn't make it to the year of the fire horse, but wow, that's crazy that it's just gone. But it was such a part of our childhood. But yeah, the problem of people voting was that they didn't vote, not the opposite, for so long. So this whole BS, like, hullabaloo about, oh, illegal people are going to be racing to the polls to vote. It's just like,
That's
no.
where the war, I mean,
That's
like
where I think, yeah, I think this.
the fight for the midterms. I mean, like there has got to be like as Jennifer Welsh from the I've Had It podcast says, too big to rig. Like people, there has to
Mm,
be too big of a margin. Like I think people are going to get way more organized with
yeah.
Saturn and Neptune and Aries, because Saturn and Neptune and Pisces is like, just leave me alone with my tarot deck and my candles and my cards and my spirit guides. No, 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 no. Now it's time to take that Neptunian energy, those intuitive whispers, and get into action. I've heard that there's a lot of people who are learning how to shoot a gun. There are a lot of people who are, and I don't think that's the answer. I don't think
But that survivalist thing is very Aries, Saturn and Neptune and Aries. It is very like, the last time Neptune was in Aries was in the 1860s and 70s. So this
was a
little
civil
house on the
war.
prairie Civil War era thing is definitely
I
is
mean,
back
tough
in the stars.
resilience and like there isn't, I mean, we have Saturn and Neptune and Pisces have taught us amazing things about our psyche. We've become trauma informed. The body keeps the score. But I do feel that there won't be as much room to like, and I
Become a little
to
disembodied in a way.
yeah, or even like we can't go to that as like we have to understand it, but more action is we can't just opt out with that like and do the spiritual bypass thing. But the thing is nobody quite knows what to do. I mean, there's indivisible groups forming. Actually, Pramila Jayapal, our rep, is training people on resistance tactics, which is amazing. um there's lots of resources out there, but it's like it's not under an umbrella. It's not easy. It's not simple. Like that's the thing. Like Turning Point USA has this. They're super
They have
organized on
numbers.
the
Yeah.
right, and the left.
Although they're kind of fraying. They had a PR person who was let go, who's like exposing them. Candace Owens is exposing them. So
Yeah, I
they're, I
think
mean,
they're.
they're having cracks in the armor.
Oh, I think so.
It's funny. I mean, I have to think like, here's one thing that astrologers and voter registration groups have in common. We're all going to encourage you to go out and get your birth certificate. As an astrologer, it's because you want to find out what time you were born so you can calculate your rising sign. But now we are also encouraging you, get your certificate ASAP so you can vote if
And
you're not
sadly,
registered,
for
and
some
get yourself
people,
registered to vote.
sadly for people who have darker skin, it's also as a matter of like self-protection,
Yeah.
because you never know when you're going to get
Well,
stopped as well. Birth
absolutely.
certificate, passport, although I've heard that that doesn't even matter. Like they don't even
No,
care.
it doesn't. But yeah, if that's what is going to stand in your way, then get your birth certificate and register to vote. You can we know where to send you to get your birth certificate.
Right, the
Go
Department of
to,
Vital Records.
yeah,
Yes.
vitalcheck.com is one place. We've sent so many of our clients there to try to find out their birth times. So, and they'll just send it to you in the mail. You write to the Department of Vital Records or use Vital Check in the state that you were born. The hospital has it. You might not get your birth time, but you will get the papers, and then go register proactively, because these mofos are going to try to stop people any way they can while crying about elections being rigged and stolen. As we know, guilt by accusation, every accusation is an admission of your own wrongdoing. So anything that they're trying to accuse others of doing is likely what they've got up their sleeve.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there's a movement to impeach Christy Nome, and she's and her potential lover Corey
oh my
Lewandowski.
God.
They have, yeah, he's a Virgo, she's a Sag, which makes me believe that it is indeed happening because those two signs do have a
This little Beyonce and Jay-Z elevator moment. Yeah, with a
yeah,
evil demonic twist, I guess. They're the same
definitely.
signs.
I mean, it's just we don't know. The thing about the 0 degree, so the Aries point is where, and you should, I'm going to post a video this week that I made to help you find it in your chart, house wise, but that is where the zodiac begins. Yeah, for us, it's in our second house, which is money and groundedness and your foundations and what you value. So your throat, your voice. And I'm finding myself definitely being more vocal about beliefs, wanting to be
Mhm.
really like, using our podcast, using our platform to like inform people. So wherever it is, whatever house it's in your chart, you just need to find that 0 degrees Aries point, and it goes counterclockwise basically. So if you find the little Aries slice on the outside of the wheel, and it'll start, if you were going around the circle counterclockwise, whatever you hit first is that point. And the house it's in will affect the area of life. It'll be much easier with the visual that I put up on Instagram. But the point I'm making here is that we're all getting a great reset. And you can read for your sun sign as well, of course, in our weeklies and the monthlies, which is a broad brush stroke.
Well, I'm ready for a great reset in my money house, I think. I
Well,
don't
it's,
know.
you put it in vision board. You said just your way you budget, the way you spend, the way like
Mhm.
rethinking, like
And it
I,
is very Saturn Neptune, because I am creating a structure for just doing my financial planning and kind of reconciling that, which is very Saturn, the structure, but that also takes into account emotional and spiritual and psychological needs that I have, which is very Neptune. Like, what would my subconscious resistance and fear? Money brings up stuff for people. So, really looking at, well, what does come up for me from my subconscious through
yeah.
Neptune? And instead of trying to push it away or avoid doing some things, like, how can I kind of dance with it and let it be part of the conversation? What does it want to tell me? Neptune is also about manifestation.
It
So,
is.
how can I have a structure through Saturn for manifesting, for doing visioning, and not just maybe going into like worry or fear or scarcity, which can come up too, especially with Saturn there. Saturn reveals our doubts and fears, uh, but also makes us more responsible and resourceful too. So we're gonna, like Tali said, we're gonna have these kind of contrasting energies, and wherever it is in your chart, you'll feel it the most. So, but overall, Aries is the sign of self and individuality. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all going to have a great reset on our identities, like a moment of reckoning, like, who am I? What do I stand for? And let's be honest, there are people who are really due for that. I know there
That
are people who are really looking at, like, ooh, the people that I'm aligned with don't represent me. And that I'm not just talking about political parties. Like I talked about this last week. There are people who I've followed for a long time as sort of either kind of entrepreneurial founder experts or spiritual healing kind of self-styled gurus. I'm not into gurus, but I'm noticing in both of those camps that sometimes they overlap. Like, what are they saying about politics or not saying
Mm-hmm.
more so? And this week I've seen a lot of like um, touting AI and how great it
Oh
is. It's
God.
like, yeah, like someone with a huge platform was he filmed a video about how wow, I was going through the airport and in 2 hours I was able to tell my AI agent to do this, and that. And then he put on these sunglasses and imagine I'm going to be able to walk through Central Park and put on these sunglasses and plan everything. People were like, well, this is taking people's jobs. He's like, this is for founders, not employees. I was like, all right, we have got to get some critical thinking. I was surprised, but I'm also like expecting that probably he's going to drop an AI version of whatever he's
Well, of
doing. This is a
course, at the
warm up for
end,
that
right.
first. Get everyone convinced of the amazingness of AI and then sell them your
Well,
agent.
I think about AI as also like the hype about it as being very Piscean too. Saturn and
Yeah.
Neptune and Pisces, this invisible force, this invisible girlfriend. Now there's bars opening that people can go to with their
Oh,
AI
yeah.
chat bot
A New
girl.
York City pop up bar for an AI companion to go on a Valentine's date that happened this
I mean, I would
weekend.
be
Like,
ashamed to stand in line for that thing. Like you, I would be like, but I guess
I hope
maybe
it
I'm
flopped. We'll
clearly of a
see.
different generation because I would be
No,
like,
I'm sure people probably just went to like make a joke out of it or like out of curiosity. Well, I haven't followed up. We'll have to see. I
I
also saw
don't.
something about like, and I don't know if this is true or not, but about an AI agent posting job descriptions for humans that would work for it. Like the roles, the tables have turned, and now you
But like,
lost your job and now you have to be rehired by an AI boss. Like, come on. No.
it's just a bunch of it's ridiculosity at its finest, and I think Saturn and Neptune and Aries is also gonna like cut through some of the bullshit. Saturn and Aries definitely does not suffer fools. It's like cut the crap, you know. Neptune there can bring a little bit of, but I mean, I think it's like what's making a difference? One Pisces to Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan, was at Davos, and he was advocating for, government restrictions on any company doing mass employee layoffs based on
Hmm.
AI,
Really? Okay.
which I
You
thought
never
was
know what
interesting.
you're going to get from him, but
Right.
yeah,
I heard
that's
he was
good.
I've heard really good things about him, but I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
for a
You never
CEO, I
know.
guess.
I've watched him. You never know which he's kind of Pisces,
Never know which
squirrely,
fish you're gonna get.
slippery. You don't really know. Then there's Jerome Powell, who's an Aquarius with an Aquarius North node. So I think we're going to be seeing interesting after he's replaced as the Fed chair. You know, we have the North node going into Aquarius in late July, and when he's out of that post, he may become quite outspoken. Not that he isn't already, but he was in Trump's crosshairs. That was a sneak preview of things to
Will he
come.
become the Michael Cohen of the year? I don't think we've also seen Jupiter in Cancer fully in action yet. I think we've seen the worst of it. We have Jupiter's still retrograde until March 10th, and then it has a few months of going direct in Cancer. I think what we've seen with some of these Iron Lady like women like Christy Nome and Erica Kirk and Pam Bondi is like sort of the worst of Jupiter and Cancer, like these gender washing, you know e- enabling women. Jupiter can really it's known as a planet of luck, but that's just sort of a broad way of saying it. It's also like this giant Klieg light. It exposes things and it shows what's hidden. And I think just exposing the abuse of children is like with
Yeah, that's
through
very
the
Jupiter and
Epstein.
Cancer for
I mean,
sure.
this has been going on since 2006, and also exposing kind of like the homeland security and the violation and Jupiter was Zeus. So, Zeus was horrible, the god of gods did all kinds of horrible things. So like you
Yeah.
think about like the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security here. What are they doing in the name of supposedly protecting us, which is
Well,
uh,
Jupiter and Cancer cycles can be very protectionist, anti immigrant, the definition of home and homeland, which Cancer rules the home, and then Jupiter is global, it's
and
immigrant.
even
So it's,
even people
yeah,
you'd think are in your camp, like the Democratic Party, is going through a huge like reckoning. Just knowing that Merrick, like when Merrick Garland was appointed by Joe Biden to, take the January 6th case on, I was like, what is taking this man so long? I was like, and now, people are like, was he just covering up things? I mean, he had the Epstein files in front
Scorpio.
of him too.
Yeah.
Really? Merrick Garland's a Scorpio. I wonder if he's the same
Mhm.
birthday as Pam Bondi. Well,
Ooh,
that,
I'll let
yeah,
you know. Mm.
Bill Gates is a Scorpio. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, who do you even trust anymore? And I think this is also a big part of Pluto in Aquarius, which is Pluto moved into Aquarius on November 19th, 2024. It already started teasing its way in back in March of 2023, but the real solid 20-year journey began November 19th, 2024. And wherever Pluto goes, because it's in a sign for so long, it causes this huge upheaval, this upset that takes a long time to kind of shake out. So it moved into Aquarius, gave us AI. And Aquarius is also the sign of democracy, and it's taking this wrecking ball to it, but it's also making us say, what is this experiment that we call democracy? It's never really been fully functioning.
Mhm,
And
to say
like
the
the
least.
corruption and power and the PACs and the money and the donors are all sort of legacies of, Pluto and Capricorn. Just a little example when Pluto, just the last couple cycles, I always like to share just because I feel like Pluto, when you look back, sometimes you can see how a planet works. So in 1995, it went into Sagittarius, which rules publishing, globalism, and was there until 2008. Well, at the beginning of that cycle, you had to pay like $30 a minute, literally, to call overseas. By the end, we had smartphones and Skype. Um,
True.
we had all, we used to read on magazines, paper, 1995. All these publications folded, the internet took over halfway through. There was the dot bomb era where we had all these ideas that we didn't have the technology. But by the end, we have broadband. Everyone's a publisher. Everyone had access to that. And then we got Pluto and Capricorn, which rules government, banks, the economy. What does that start out with? We have the mortgage crisis, the banks being bailed out, Obama, the first black president, like
Bitcoin was
oh,
created.
bit
Yeah.
right. And then we end with, I don't think we end, 2024, we get Trump back. So there's our Pluto and Aquarius, I think, lesson that's the wrecking ball of it. Like, oh, you think you
We
want
did not pass
democracy.
that test. We did not pass that
I
test.
mean, I don't, and you could argue that, Pluto and Sagittarius, did it make things better? We can connect globally more. We have access to more information. There was more information published in that period of time than there was in the entire history leading up to it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, where is this taking us? That's when you have to kind of go, we're not just here to have this la-di-da cakewalk. We're here to evolve as souls, and Boy, this year, I think the fire horse year is going to test our, like, well, how strong and resilient can you be actually in the face of, can you feel the fear and do it anyway? I mean,
Mhm.
can you be a leader? Can you be the Mustang? Can you break away and run? How free are you willing to let yourself while also being tuned into the collective? And,
Yeah.
because horses need their freedom, fire horses, but they also are very communal creatures too. They have advanced languages. They pick a best friend in the herd. So um, it's like it is, and it's even though it's associated with Gemini, it also feels very Aquarian in a way. It's like your individuality inside of the collective is
Mhm.
celebrated. I feel that too with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. I feel a lot of people like finding some strength they didn't know that they had. I'm looking
Because I don't
forward
think
to
of
that.
Aries as like resenting anyone else's individuality. It's not like maybe Leo might be a little more competitive for the spotlight. Aries do like to win, don't get me wrong, but they're the first sign. So Aries energy is kind of like already aware of its awesomeness, maybe a little too aware. It's like born like already proud of who it is. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm here to shine. So we may, I always think of like the Spice Girls. We wrote in our 2026 horoscope book about how the Spice Girls formed when Saturn was last in Aries in the 1990s. And if you think about it, they were a group, but each of them had their own really unique personality, not to take it to the level
Posh
of
and
Spice.
scary
It was
and
like
yeah.
it wouldn't have been the same without each of them. But there wasn't really any competition there because each one was so unique.
Yeah.
So not to like really reduce the world to the Spice Girls, but when you need a metaphor, you need a metaphor. And I mean, there's something there for us all. Which Spice Girl will you be in 2026 in the year of the fire
Exactly.
horse? Or will
Hmm.
you be a horse girl instead? But I mean, look, it's going to be a really revealing week, but a kind of a glimpse of what's to come. I think of it as more of like ripping the blinders off, the horse blinders come off, the stable gates are open, the horses come charging out. We've seen a lot, but more people are going to probably show who they really are in the year of the
Hmm.
horse.
Yeah.
And I mean, the last horse year was 2014. And then prior to that was 2002. I personally loved 2002. That was a huge transformational year for me.
But it was also like in the wake of September 11th. So there was a
And that's
lot
true.
of there's a lot of heaviness. Yeah, yeah, that was sort
There's a
of
lot of change. I think it was like I think it was when we were living together and then I moved out and got my first apartment by myself. Not my first, but for a while we had been living together a lot and we were in our 20s. And I think I got my own apartment with an Aries boyfriend. And
but we
we
also had like a
kind of
big
pushed on our
twin.
own.
We were in our Saturn return then. We also had like a
That's
big
true.
that was a really tough time too, because it was like
What
a lot
am
of
I gonna
individuating. But
doing? Which
yeah, it
was,
was yeah, it was
you know,
good.
the horse does demand
It
that you
was
kind
very
of like,
Gemini in that way. It was like individuation within the twin ship then. Because you,
mm-hmm.
yeah, you moved out and I was all pissed and upset. But then I was like, oh, yeah, this is probably healthy for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we learned how to really just be individuals more. And I do think that that is what the horse year really is about. Some horses are show ponies, some horses are racers, some horses are pace horses that keep everybody else moving along. There's a lot of different.
Mm.
Well, this lunar new year is also an eclipse. So let's cover that too.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
there's
How
so
did we
much
even forget
happening that
about
we
that?
didn't
Oh my
even
God.
mention that. It's
I
also
know.
a
I know.
solar eclipse. We are in eclipse season this week. This is what happens when there's so much front loaded into
Oh my
a
God.
an astrological moment that like, oh yeah, an eclipse. So let's go there. So we are opening up the eclipse corridor, as it's called, because eclipses come in pairs. Starts with one, and then 2 weeks later, it's another. It's either starts with the new moon, ends with the full moon, or the other way around. This one starts with the Aquarius new moon on
It's an
Tuesday, February
annular
17th.
annular solar eclipse, which is when the moon, it would almost be a total solar eclipse, but the moon is like not quite covering the sun. So at one point there's a ring of fire.
Yeah,
So it's
there's
like the
literally a
sun
ring of fire eclipse.
fringes the edge. I mean, like the fire horse begins with a ring of fire eclipse. You can't make this shit up, you
No, you
know?
really can't. And then Saturn and Neptune meet in a fire sign of Aries. But on 3 3, get an angel number, we have a Virgo total lunar eclipse at the full moon. So you want to really think about like the intentions you set now at the lunar new year, at the Aquarius new moon solar eclipse will really will come to like a manifestation moment on March 3rd, on 3 3 or around there, when this total lunar eclipse in Virgo reveals some details that maybe, the Aquarius is more big picture, visionary, future focused. Virgo is really about the details. So
The
there may be some
plan.
plans and details that get exposed
The thing
around
about
March.
eclipses is that hidden things tend to come to light. It's not always the best time to like set huge intentions during an eclipse, but maybe if you set an intention, say, um, if you're going to show this or ask for this or something better, ask for, I've heard people say only the good, true, and beautiful to be part of this. Ask for it to be a gentle reveal because, in an Aquarius,
Good
we
luck
may
with that, but
learn.
you can always ask.
This eclipse could reveal more human rights violations, more. It's is not a peaceful moment like the next month and a half, but I mean, between now and the equinox, it is not a settled time astrologically at all. We're in the eclipse corridor, those 2 weeks between the eclipse. It's like you really do feel like you're walking through a hall of mirrors. And then get Mercury retrograde thrown in on February 26th. So it's like you may not be able to be as definitive about things as you like, or if you just know, like, this is not really the time to do like a ton of trial and error, like with things that could, you know, push you in a way that might be super triggering or traumatizing or dangerous. Like, don't take those kinds of risks right now because
Mhm.
but it is a good time to like learn and research and find like how did the Black Panthers organize? Yeah, I mean, since they were a 1966 group, they did a lot of great things for the community health, community well, like feeding people.
We're going to
What
need to know some of that stuff because so much of that is being taken away, and it's not going to just come back overnight. Even so, all the things have been dismantled. So we are moving into the age of Aquarius, where the community is going to be taking a lot into its own hands. So learning from what was done, as unfair as that may be, I think it's going to be important. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, an
well,
eclipse during
yeah.
Mercury retrograde on 3/3 in Virgo, could be is really
This
interesting.
is
It's
quite a
like
winter. It's quite a winter. March 20th, the end of Mercury retrograde, the spring equinox, the start of Aries season. I've got my eye on you, March 20th. So one more month, but I'm like, daylight savings is coming March 8th. I'm just like finding those little moments of like, okay,
it's sort of a paradox of Saturn and Neptune. On the one hand, we have to be ready to gear up and get into action. On the other hand, we also have to like
go through Pisces
heed the
season.
eclipse and Mercury retrograde warnings and inspect everything carefully and really, like sometimes you have to act, but like there's not going to be a 100% certainty. But if there's a lot of doubt surrounding something, it's worth maybe waiting or giving it a moment to kind of shake out or doing your research if you have the time and luxury of doing that.
But definitely, if you're a ritual kind of person and you didn't join us for Vision Board, our yearly Lunar New Year webinar, please watch it this week and
Yeah.
let us guide you into some
I feel like we
intention.
should keep it up for the whole week. Why don't we
Yeah,
do
well, okay,
that?
we will. We'll keep it up for the week. And people on the webinar were asking us, like, when should I, because we recommended, make an accompanying actual vision board, the traditional sense, with the
I really think February
images.
20th is a good day for that. The
Yeah,
Saturn
Friday,
Neptune.
Saturday, Sunday, or 222 when there's a
Right.
Venus Jupiter trine. Venus and Jupiter are the
That's a good
great
one.
benefics, the two most positive and helpful planets. They are about love and goodwill and harmony, and they're going to be in water signs, which are about caring and connection and bonding. And so 222 next Sunday, since we don't have the Grammys or the Super Bowl or anything else going on, would be a nice time to just, like, if you can, just find a little space and let those vision board intentions really kind of let your subconscious choose images that go along with it, and keep your vision board somewhere, like put it under some crystals, keep it under crystals through the lunar eclipse on 3/3. Keep it handy,
Hmm.
or, all year if you can. We have manifested almost everything, if not everything, that we've put on our vision boards, and not in magical thinking ways. I mean, sometimes they've come miraculously in ways that we couldn't have imagined. And other times it's just keeping those inspired intentions present so that we're like, we're going to use our emotional, mental resources to actualizing these things, because there's so many ways. I mean, I'm on the doom scroll express. I'm going to be honest, it's really hard not to be, because you feel so vulnerable if you don't know and vulnerable if you do. And one of the things that's been the most comforting is just being together. So one more time, we want to invite you, last chance to join us for Become Your Own Astrologer 2026, our birth chart mastermind. It starts Saturday, February 21st, for 8 weeks, 8 Saturdays, where we are going to teach you how to confidently read, understand, and interpret birth charts, which are your secret weapon for success, a tool of the resistance, if you ask me, spiritual technology, I like to call it. Just, you know, knowing how to forecast and how to understand what's going on under the hood of yourself, other people, humanity gives you such an advantage. It may not change everything that's going on this planet, but it can change the way you respond to it, the way you metabolize it,
And how
and
you
just give you,
plan your
yeah.
own role. What's your role in this new world order, and what's the right timing? Our first level foundations will teach you all about yourself, and then if you do our second level oracles, which builds on that, as many people do, you will actually learn how to do predictive astrology transits, how to know when it's the right
Relocation
time.
astrology, if you want to leave the country, as some people
Right.
may. I mean, progressions, all the things.
Relationship astrology too, for the people who you might want to build an intentional community with. That was something we've been predicting for the last couple of years, and I keep now there's these new kind of pop-up communities that are happening where people are building
Hmm.
um like 8 houses, individual houses, but they have like a shared courtyard and yard. I mean, I'm just like, that is so the Aquarian, Pluto and Aquarius way of the future. So, because of course, we don't live on this planet alone. I mean, we got into astrology as much to learn about ourselves as to figure out what was going on with those guys we were dating, or our family members, or our friends, or, you know,
It was
uh,
just such a shortcut, because again, your friends come over, or you get together with your family, or you go to work and people start talking about, inevitably there's a problem to solve. I mean, the
mhm.
average adult makes 38,000 decisions a day, and that's a fact. And it's the amount of decision fatigue and analysis paralysis that we are weathering, especially now with our psyches being taxed by trying to process all these horrible things happening in the news. Like, this helps you with that. This helps you filter some of the decisions or process. I mean, in our class, we meet every Saturday for 8 weeks, and then a second round of 8 weeks if you go on with our oracles level 2 from 12 to 2, between 2 and 2:30 Eastern. And then we have weekly practice parties for those who want to show up. It's like going to like a conversational Italian class, for example, if you wanted to live in Italy one day and immerse. Yeah, it's like, get to practice your interpreting. We really teach you how to fish in the stars. We look at world events and figures every year and look at their charts to try to gain more understanding of their motives as well, or what might happen with them. And we have an amazing supportive community, best of all.
Absolutely. And a certification option too for people who want to take it there and actually, maybe you want the shiny gold star, or maybe you actually want to have a certificate and show, and bring this in as a practice or into your practice. So astrostyle.com/BYOA. That's short for Become Your Own Astrologer. astrostyle.com/BYOA. All the information, the dates, the prices, the payment plans, all that good stuff is there. It's in the show notes for you. And already we know some of you are going to be joining us. We're so excited to get started. Just buckle up for this week, saddle up, should I say, get your feet in the stirrups and hold on to those reins, because things might buck off like a rodeo, or maybe be a gentle canter, gentle trot, though it doesn't really feel like it right now. You're ready for it. You're more ready than you realize. But life's about to move at a different pace, and all we got to do, we got to go with the ride. We got to ride the ride.
Let's ride the together. We ride at dawn on or we ride at sunset, because it's Lunar New Year's Eve. Starts the evening before in the lunar calendar. So we ride at sunset.
The ring of fire
horse. Yes. Bye-bye snake. And go make yourself a vision board and check out Become Your Own Astrologer. We will see you, and thanks for tuning in.
All right. See you next week, everyone. Happy Lunar New Year.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins, and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.